Within your go bag, it is incredibly important that you keep it nice and organized, and one of the best ways to do that is to sort all your various categories of gear and keep them in their own separate individual pouches. This little nylon pouch does a great job. However, you don't have to stick with this nylon pouch. You can get a roll top dry bag or even use a gallon Ziploc bag, which both of those options have the added benefit of keeping your gear a little bit drier if you get caught in the rain. This particular bag keeps all my miscellaneous equipment in here, starting off with a nice big power bank. This particular one has 1500 milliamp hours and has enough juice to recharge my phone and my various flashlights multiple times over again. I have a couple USB cords on hand. This particular one is rubber banded on my power bank, but I like to have a little bit of redundancy in case one cord does bite the dust. I have a couple others to make sure that I can keep my phone going for a nice long time. I've got a couple of these power banks at home that I cycle through my go bag very frequently to make sure that they're both fully operational and fully charged for when I need them the most. Next up, I have a nice big bag of alkaline batteries for my one flashlight that does use them. It is incredibly important that you keep these stowed away in a waterproof bag or two. Alkaline batteries are notorious for leaking, especially when they're stored for a long period of time. So keep the rest of your gear safe and keep them isolated. You may even want to use two bags to make sure that everything's nice and safe. For the lights that I have that do use rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, I like to keep a couple extra cells stowed away in these hard plastic cases. They do a great job of protecting my cells from any sort of damage or water ingress, which in worst case scenario could lead to a potential fire hazard. Again, I like to keep these cycled through my bag on a regular basis to make sure that they're both fully charged and that they're not damaged from being stored fully charged for a long period of time, which is an unfortunate downside to using rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. On the note of shelter building, I like to keep a ultralight compact A-frame style shelter in my bag, since I do live about 10 miles away from the nearest city in the mountains, which is not so great if you have to hike out. Regardless of how high-end a blade steel may be or how careful you are while using your knife, a blade is going to get dull eventually. While this is not essentially a critical piece of gear, it is something that I really like to have in all of my go bags because it allows me to touch up my blades and make sure they're safe and as effective as they possibly can be in the field. This ULTRA-TEK sharpener is very compact and lightweight and houses a 6-inch long diamond hone, which allows you to touch your blades up in the field, giving you a very toothy, aggressive edge that's going to keep on cutting very well. It's not going to give you that ultra refined polished edge like you are going to have on a EDC knife, but it's a great way to keep yourself going and keep your tool as safe and effective as possible. If you might be in a situation where you may need to start a fire to keep yourself warm or cook, or you might have some downed trees that are in the way of your car, it might be very helpful to consider adding a saw to your kit. This is the TASKMASTER SAW saw, which is again very budget friendly and very effective, and compared to an axe and a hatchet is a lot more compact and lighter weight. While it's not going to be able to do any sort of heavy duty processing or splitting like you might be able to do with an axe or a hatchet, it is a very versatile tool and for the weight provides you a lot of different capabilities. I've had great success cutting wood up to about 10 inches in diameter, which leaves you a lot of room for both breaking down trees into firewood or moving a fallen tree from out in front of your car. Now don't forget about your four-legged friends either. They're going to need plenty of their own food and water. As well as bringing some extra water on top of what I have for myself, I have 2 days worth of dried food for Watson here in this waterproof container. In order to help facilitate eating and drinking on the move, I've got a nice packable bowl here, which folds away to almost nothing. Now, at the best of times, Watson doesn't quite listen to me, let alone when there's a bunny or squirrel, or if we're on the move and we're all stressed and trying to go somewhere fast. For that very reason, I think it's very important to have an extra leash or some way to control him so that he doesn't run away while we're trying to evacuate. If you happen to have a smaller animal like a cat, you can keep all the supplies tucked away, ready to go in a pet carrier, which can really help facilitate evacuating in a rush.